Thank you, Eliana, for this introduction. I will present our GeoVT project. GeoVT stands for Training New Generations on Geomorphology, Geohazards and Geoheritage through virtual reality technologies and aims to give all students the opportunity to get to know various geomorphic environments which for some reason are not available for them. The idea was born during the pandemic, but later on we thought that it would be wonderful to establish a connection between the geomorphologists and share our field trips in our amphitheaters. With this way, our students will visit more sites and will learn about them from those who are doing research in these areas. So, the GeoVT journey started like that, but it is not only this. But let's introduce our team first. I will not say a lot because Arjen has already mentioned who we are. In fact, we are six universities in total collaborating in this project. And in fact, the five of these universities are dealing with geomorphology. And we have also in our group a university, the Aspete one, who is taking care of the pedagogical part of our project, since we propose new tools in education. Last but not the least, we have a private IT company in our group, Omega company, which is the one which developed the tool we use for our virtual field trips. GeoVT offers alternative forms of education. It started, as I told you before, in order to tackle current problems because of a pandemic, but now this is over. So now it contributes to a fundamental change in teaching methods in multiple domains of science. It offers participants the ability to virtually navigate over areas which they could not visit otherwise, and enrich students' expertise and provide deeper learning opportunities by bringing to life lessons on geomorphology, geohazards and geoheritage. So, although this is the aim of GeoVT, GeoVT is not only the virtual field trips in geomorphology. GeoVT provides new educational material for geomorphology, geohazards and geoheritage, provides various geomorphic virtual field trips, provides authoring tool for creating custom virtual reality interactive presentations, which means that this tool will remain there to be used in the future, either from our group or from any group in the scientific society. It offers an open e-class in geomorphology, geohazards and geoheritage, and last but not the least, an e-book in this subject. As I told you, we are five universities dealing with geomorphology, and each of these university is taking care of a specific geomorphic environment, from coastal environments to fluvial or to karstic environments. So we cover most of the part of geomorphology. Here I can show you just a sample of what we may develop through the GeoVT tool using the 360 photos collected from the field. And it is not only these photos, but it is we add additional material which could be aerial photos or text or multimedia material, text and narration also is added in this final product. And as I mentioned before, we have established an open e-class, which is a very powerful future tool, which concentrates lectures, educational material, virtual field trips of different geomorphic environments, and all of this in one place. Fully implemented educational multimedia material, scientific journals and e-exercises may be also found in this platform. The e-class could be a common tool for geomorphologists from different universities, not only from the universities of GeoVT team, to share their classes and their material, and also students from different universities will have the opportunity to interact and to work together. All this material will be tested through e-training school, which will take place at the end of the project. And how to follow us, as you can see here, there are many different places where you can find our team, and you can you can learn about the activities of GeoVT and our news, and we will really be happy to hear from you. And at this point, I would like to finish with a very short video in which a student, a former student in geomorphology, shared with all of us the experience of GeoVT. So it's a way to understand how our students feel about these virtual field trips.
The project Geomorphological Virtual Field Trips is designed to demonstrate a uniform and integrated teaching guideline that promotes distance education by utilizing the most recent trend of technologies in education. The aim of the project is to offer alternative forms of education, contributing to a fundamental change in teaching methods in multiple disciplines of science. Students will gain experience through the interactive aspect of geomorphology, geohazards, and geoheritage, subjects which come to life with students are virtually in the field. GeoVT is training new generations on geomorphology, geohazards, and geoheritage through virtual reality technologies. Join us and explore field trips on various geomorphological sites around Europe and get the virtual reality experience.
And at this point, I would like to thank you all for being here, for your interest in GeoVT, and we are ready to share with you the results of our project and interact with you for the future steps. And now the rest of the partnership will show you some of the virtual field trips we have developed, and they are provided through GeoVT, but more are coming, and more may come also from all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nikki. And I think the video was a nice presentation to our next speaker, who is Vasiliki, who you saw on the video. So the next speaker is Vasiliki Souki. She's a geologist and a GeoVT team member of the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. She will talk about exploring Naxos Island, a virtual journey. So Vaso, you are with us?
Yes, good afternoon from me. I will try to share my screen. I might have some technical difficulties because of the Wi-Fi, so Can you see my screen now?
Yes, try to put it in full presentation mode.
Yes.
Perfect.
Is it on full screen now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Vasiliki Isouki. I'm a geologist in the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. And I will represent you a virtual field trip that we did from the GeoVT project. But first, I will talk about sea level changes. Worldwide, millions of people are crowded along coastal areas, attracted by the rich and fertile land, the transportation means, the ports, coastal and offshore fishing, and recreational opportunities. The rise in global sea level is a consequence of climate change. Since all oceans are interconnected, any variation in the sea level is felt on a global scale. The variation in sea level depends, among other things, on the increase or decrease in the amount of water in the oceans. My slide didn't change, and I wanted to change my slide.
Vaso, try to use your arrows.
Yeah, I'm trying, but I can't see them. I think my computer is a little bit stuck.
We see an arrow now, so maybe.
Maybe with enter. Just press the enter.
Okay, try to reshare, don't worry.
Did I stop sharing or?
Yes, it happens sometimes when the PowerPoint is stuck. Don't worry.
Okay.
Share again your screen.
Yeah, my screen is black
Frozen?
now. It's a little bit black, my screen now.
Okay. Shall we move on to the next?
Maybe, yes, we can try to go to the next speaker, and maybe Vaso, you should send the presentation to me, or maybe to me.
Yeah,
I can share
that.
your.
I think it's better this way, yes.
Okay, and you just tell me when you want me to change your slide. If we have Ilva with us, maybe we can go on with Ilva for now. Yeah, I see you. So, okay, if that's not a problem, let's go on with you to help Vaso deal with technical stuff. Okay. So apologies for this. Let's go to Ilva Palmgren. Sorry if I pronounce wrongly. She's a research assistant in the Department of Physical Geography of Stockholm University, and she will present us making ice age landscapes come to life using VR. So Ilva, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just have to go through some technical issues also, sorry.
So do the quit and reopen, I guess, because you have to quit, says.
Sorry, I will have to leave the meeting and restart to share my screen. So there are some technical issues going on here also.
Okay.
We didn't see that until we were going to share.
Sorry. I'll return shortly.
Maybe we go to the next. Because all these three presentations are related to virtual field trips we are developing through GeoVT. So we just change.
Okay, it's not a problem as long as we have with us Candid, sorry.
Yes, no problem. Okay, I try to share my screen.
Okay, so let me present you first.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Dr. Candid Lissac from the University of Caen Normandy. She will talk about geomorphological and hydrological hazards education based on imagery, remote sensing, and geomatic tools. So, Candid, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Is it okay with the PowerPoint?
Yes,
Okay.
we see it.
Great. Yeah, thank you. So I'm Candid Lissac from Caen University. I'm geomorphologist. So I would like to present our participation in the project, in the GeoVT project from my university. And the aim of our lesson is to introduce students to erosion processes, especially coastal retreats, mass movement, runoff, to induct students in hazard processes, the functioning, but also into the hazard mapping. And this means we will focus our lesson or e-class on the processes and how can we detect today various kind of phenomenon in the territories, and how can we understand them. So we also focus our lesson on the various tools and methods. As you can see here, for example, we will add some additional documents with laser terrestre, for example, here. But we will also talk about how imagery with remote sensing is very useful for geomorphological studies. For an example of a plan of a lesson, here you have a specific lesson on coastal erosion processes, and we will discuss about what kind of processes is it, and how does it work, etc. And we will add also a different kind of exercise, as you can see here. We will propose a question from the lesson to know if the student has understand it, but also we will provide some typical exercise of geomorphology by using different kind of platform, as you can see in the right side of the document. How can we detect landslide, for example, using imagery with Google Earth platform, for example, but also we can use remote sensing platforms such as Clodias, as you can see here. For example, in this slide, this is a open data access platform. You can download satellite images, but you can also just use it to, for example, calculate NDVI index or AVI index. So it's a good way to students to introduce them to remote sensing. Anyway, so for the virtual field trip, we decided for the coastal part of our study, we decided to focus our study on 3 different sites, Villers-sur-Mer, Sainte-Marguerite, and Villerville, because it's different kind of study area. And as additional data, we will, for example, give with the 3600 camera video, we will add terrestrial photogrammetric models. So I wanted to show you an example of the models, but I'm not sure it will work. So I just I have screenshot here. What is the aim? The 3D modeling will provide a good visualization of the processes. For example, here in Sainte-Marguerite coastal cliff area, we can see and discuss about rockfall, or what kind of deposits it means and how this evolves. What is an active cliff today, and we can also show different kind of specific forms, such as abrasion platform, in this kind of model. So it is a good way to initiate students about coastal processes. And we will also focus on like lithology, geology, as you can see in this screen, with flint, for example, or how the structures and the cracks can induce specific runoff and a preferential runoff, or for this upstream. I don't know if you can see my. Okay, well. So the upstream photo and the second one. Anyway, We will also provide a 3D model of the Villers-sur-Mer landslide area, because it is a very interesting area, because it's a specific coastal badlands, and it's quite rough as phenomenon. So we will also here introduce students about landslide processing, but also mud flow and the combination of the processes. And to go deeper in this lesson, we will also provide various multispectral images and analysis of these images. For example, here for the Villers-sur-Mer Vache Noire study area, to introduce students about the use of remote sensing techniques. For example, here we can use various index calculation to detect landslide and to assess the dynamic of landslide with temporal series. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Very nice presentation, very interesting. We're a bit off time, but if there is we might try a brief question, a short question, if there is one for Candid.
I don't know if you can see the video here in the page, no?
No video.
Maybe, okay. And then you can see?
Yes.
Yes, this is the model that I wanted to show you, that we will use to show the processes and the specific landform, as you can see here. It is done by terrestrial photogrammetric model developed by terrestrial photos, and we would like to use it for the students to explain and show them various kind of processes and landform.
Thank you. It looks very, very nice and very interesting. So please, if you have any questions, you can write them in the chat, and Candid, just have a look if there is a question for you in the chat, and let's go on to let's move back. Ilva, if you're here and ready, let's go on with you.
I'm here and ready.
Okay.
Share my screen.
Yes.
Do you now see my screen?
Yes, we see your presentation.
Maybe I should, yeah, like that.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you. And well, hello everyone. My name, as you heard, is Ylva, and I am a master's student in polar landscapes and quaternary climate at Stockholm University. But during the spring, I have also been involved in the GeoVT project on behalf of Stockholm University, where I have been making those virtual reality excursions that you've been hearing about today. And in this presentation, I will tell you about one of the virtual excursions that I'm making with the headline, Making Ice Age Landscapes Come to Life Using VR. But before we get right into it, I think I should tell you a little bit about what Stockholm University is doing within the GeoVT project. And the main things we're making are 2 virtual reality excursions, and a lot to go along with that, also some educational material. And the first one is set in Greece, in southwestern Peloponnese Peninsula, where we tell the story of the formation and development of Yalova Lagoon, a Mediterranean coastal lagoon, and also how anthropogenic interventions in that area during the 20th and 21st century have changed the lagoon environment. And then the second excursion that we are making is instead set in the Scans Mountain, quite a different area compared to Greece, or Scandinavian mountain range, we could also call it. And it's set in west central Sweden and southeastern Norway. And in this excursion, we are instead focusing on glacial geomorphology and glacial landforms, and how this can be used to understand and reconstruct past ice sheets. And For the rest of this presentation, I will be talking more about this Scandinavian excursion. And I will do that by first talking a little bit about glaciations in Scandinavia and how they have affected the landscape. We will then move on to talk a little bit about the excursion area that we have chosen. And I'll finish by giving you a small sneak peek of a presentation that we are currently making. But let's get on to those Scandinavian glaciations. And to be clear, a glaciation means that we have land covered by glaciers or ice. And throughout the Quaternary period, which is also the last ice age, we have had multiple glaciations in Scandinavia with ice sheets building up starting here around the Scandinavian mountain range between Sweden and Norway, and then spreading to cover large parts of Scandinavia, like we have here in this case, or sometimes the entirety of Scandinavia and also parts of Northern Europe. And we have had multiple of these ice sheets that you can see here. And on these maps, we also have the excursion area that we have chosen marked in red here. And we are interested in studying these past ice sheets because they have had a huge effect on the landscape in Scandinavia that we have in the present. They have controlled the landforms we find, the soils we have, many of the natural resources that we have, and also some of the geohazards that we are facing in the present. And another reason why we are also interested in these ice sheets is because by understanding how these past ice sheets have grown and melted in response to climate, we might be able to understand how modern day ice sheets on Greenland and Antarctica might respond to the current climate change that we are facing in the present. But let's now move on to the excursion area that we have chosen. But before I get right into that, let me tell you a little bit about how ice sheets work. And we can say that we have two main forms of ice sheets. We have the frozen bed ice sheet that is frozen to its base and does not erode at its base and therefore preserves the underlying landscape and landforms. And then we have the thawed bed ice sheet where the ice is sliding on meltwater at its base and eroding the underlying landscape and therefore creating many landforms and so on. And what's nice within our excursion area and why we chose this area is because we have a little bit of both here. We have sort of this kind of situation where we've had both preservation underneath frozen bed ice sheets, but also creation of landforms underneath a thawed bed ice sheet. And another nice thing about our excursion area is that it's also possible to trace the retreat and melting of the last ice sheet that we had in this area through landforms that were left behind. So that's quite nice. Now, if we move on and look more specifically at the areas that we have chosen for our excursion, we have Nipfjellet here, which is one site that we are visiting during the excursion, where we have some of those preserved landforms. And these are landforms from an earlier glaciation that we can see. The other area we're visiting is Långfjället up here, which is a mountain, so high elevation. And there we've also had frozen bed conditions, preserving both glacial and non-glacial landforms. The second area we're visiting is by Grövelsjön here, where we can find evidence that this lake here was at some point dammed by ice during the last deglaciation. And then the last excursion area here, Elgå, there we find some meltwater traces that we are looking at. And these meltwater traces have in part been created by meltwater coming from this bursting dam here in Grövelsjön when that burst during the deglaciation. But now you've had this short introduction and and I think it's time to look at that short excursion preview and I'll see if that works. Do you see another screen now? Is that what you're seeing? Are you seeing a mountaintop?
Okay, we see you, yeah.
Yeah, you see on an image from on top of a mountain. Yes, I assume so. Then we can have a look around. This is the first excursion area, or the first stop on the excursion we're making. And this is up on Nipfjället. And we're standing on this ridge that you can maybe see here. And this ridge is a marginal moraine. And a marginal moraine is a glacial landform that forms along the margin of an ice sheet or a glacier. And it's formed by material transported within the ice towards the margins, where it's then deposited, forming these kinds of ridge-like features. And in this case here, we have had an ice lying here on this side of the moraine. So this moraine marks the outline of that ice sheet. This moraine is a bit special because it's one of those moraines that were preserved during the last glaciation. It's older than the last glaciation. It's actually 55,000 years old, and that's something that's quite uncommon to have in Scandinavia. Next area is here on Långfjället. Here you can maybe see that we're standing in some kind of channel. And this channel is a marginal meltwater channel. It's also a landform that forms along the margins of an ice sheet. And it forms when the ice is melting and we have water accumulating on top of the ice. And when that flows down, it flows to the sides of the ice. And if it can't flow underneath the ice, it's forced to flow along the margins of it. And then you get the carving of these kinds of channel-like features on the sides of valleys where the ice has been lying. So that's what we have here. Next stop is here, where we see this lake here. That's Lake Grövelsjön, the one lake that was dammed by an ice during the last glaciation. And the damming here has led to the formation of shorelines along the sides of the valley. On the sides of this lake, and these reflect different lake levels during the last glaciation. And we can't really see the shorelines very well here, but if we move here to this picture, we see some nice straight lines that are those shoreline representing lake levels. And from these shorelines and lake levels, we can also reconstruct the past extents of these ice dam lakes. And here we have this lake, Grövelsjön, and one extent of that during the damming during the last glaciation. And here we have the modern day Grövelsjön lake, so you can see the comparison. Now we're moving on to the last stop here. We can have a look around also. And here we are actually standing on top of, or maybe I should say inside of, a perched delta. That lies above the present-day lake level in this area. We have the lake here. That's cut through by a modern-day stream here. And you can see that it lies above the present-day lake level here also in this hillshade where we have the delta here and the lake there. And this, the reason we have this delta above the present-day lake level is that Lake Femunden here was also dammed by ice during the last deglaciation of the area. And that's also when this delta formed, and it's formed by glaciofluvial material, meaning material that was once transported within an ice sheet and then transported by glacial meltwater and deposited here. And part of that meltwater actually came from Grövelsjön, that lake that we looked at in the last stop. And here is some of the material that was moved here by ice. But this was actually all for that very short preview. And now there is not much else to do other than say thank you for listening to this presentation. And if we have the time, I am open for questions now.
Thank you very much, Ylva. Very nice presentation. Very nice VR trip to a glacial environment.
Thank you.
We are a bit off with time, but if you have one brief question for Ylva, it would be nice to hear it now. Otherwise, I see also in the chat that there is a question, I think, for you.
Is it the one on the 3D camera?
Yeah, I think it's for you.
We're using a 360 camera. It's Insta360 2X or something, or X2. That's really nice. That gets these 360 images.
We can
Okay,
write.
thank you very much. If you have any more questions, please, you can write in the chat. And let's go back to Vaso Isuki. I will share my screen. Vaso, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. I think I'm
Okay.
good to go this time.
Okay, I will share your presentation and you can just tell me next anytime you want me to change the slide, okay?
Okay, I think we can start from the third slide because I talked.
I will scroll through the first two slides because we were able to only see one slide in reality, so.
Okay.
Okay. So it should be working.
I'm waiting for my computer to respond to the sharing.
Can you see my screen, Vaso?
I'm trying. It's loading. It's just the Wi-Fi is very slow here. Okay, so now I can see it.
Okay. On the third slide.
The third slide, yes. So what actually is sea level change? Since all the oceans are interconnected, any variation in sea level is felt on a global scale. The variation in sea level depends, among other things, on the increase or decrease in the amount of water in the oceans. The sea level rise is described by the term transgression, resulting to part of the land being taken over by the sea. The decline of the sea level is known as retreat and results in the emergence of coastal formations and the advance of the coast. To better process the data on the recordings of the sea level records, it is useful to distinguish between two types of sea level, the gauge and relative. The gauge sea level is the absolute sea level of the water surface, which could be measured based on some fixed data, which are not affected by isostasy and tectonics. The relative sea level is the one recorded based on its position relative to the land. Next slide, please. Sea level doesn't remain constant, neither spatially nor temporally. Changes in the sea level have affected human cultures in the past. The accelerating sea level rise because of the increasingly intense greenhouse effect seems certain that will have a serious impact in the future. The study of past sea level changes provides evidence to determine the causes of the fluctuation and allows the determination of past sea levels in regions and seasons for which there are no clear data. Therefore, to understand the present and future sea level changes, it is necessary to understand the processes that have taken place in the past. There are many different types of sea level change indicators, such as biological, geomorphological, sedimentological, and archaeological. Next slide. Biological indicators are organisms that live attached to hard substrates, and their living rates or upper limit is near or just at the sea level. When the relative sea level changes, the environmental conditions in which the biological indicators live change. Consequently, they either develop biological adaptations mechanisms to keep pace with the changing relative sea level, or they die out if the rate of sea level change is rapid. Next slide. Regarding to the geomorphological indicators, beach rocks are defined as solid sedimentary formations consisting of coastal sediments, which are relatively rapidly lithified by calcium carbonate precipitation. Observations in the field and laboratory experiments have shown that the lithification occurs quite rapidly from a few years to decades. Because beach rocks are often found in the wave zone or at the mean sea level, it was assumed that they are formed in the intertidal zone and in coastal deposits, and their exposure is due to the shoreline retreat. Regarding to the marine terraces, a marine terrace is basically a flat horizontal or slightly sloping surface of marine origin. Usually, it is an old scrapping platform no longer affected by wave action and bounded by a landward shelf. The study of marine terraces makes a fundamental contribution to quaternary stratigraphy, the identification of static changes in tectonics. Next slide. Another geomorphological indicators are marine notches, which are indicates along coastal cliffs. They are divided into different types depending on their origin and form. Some of them, for example, are dissolution notches, structural notches, lithological notches, wave erosion notches, subtidal, etc. Next slide. Regarding to the archaeological indicators, during antiquity, important coastal settlements and harbors were built, which provided important insights into sea level change over the previous millennia. Two types of correlations provide data for all sea levels. The first refers to those constructions or works of art, but are now submerged. And the second to the coastal constructions that they were built, taking into account the current sea level. Next slide. Regarding the sedimentological indicators, the loose sediments of areas such as coastal plains, deltaic and alluvial plains, swamps, etc., can be used to unfold the recent geological history of a region. Environments that are considered suitable for paleogeographic reconstructions are low-altitude areas, and especially coastal and riverine environments. Sediment concentration is associated with a sedimentary record produced during at the end of periods of a sea level rise, particularly during periods of a static rise, which follow glacial maximum. Next slide. Now I will present you a part of our virtual field trip in Naxos Island, which is located in the center of Cyclades. This virtual field trip has to do with the relative sea level changes in the island. Initially, we studied the geomorphology and the geology of the island in order to decide what areas have high geological value and thus decide the destinations of our virtual field trips. Next slide. After that, we visited these areas and collected 360 photos and drone images, like the ones you see in the next slide. And like the ones here. We then used the platform created in the framework of our project to create the virtual field trip. I will show you now a small video of it. Next slide. I have a video which you can play. As you can see, you can turn around with your mouse as if you were actually there. In several landforms, like the ones that you can see in the video, are accompanying text that tells you what these landforms are, which are some indicators that I previously talked about. In some spheres, there are also a voiceover explaining you the geology and geomorphology of the area. In every location, you can spend as much time as you want wandering around. When you finish and want to go to the next destination, you can just click in the next button. Every virtual field trip is being updated constantly with new material. So if you revisit an area after some time, you may see new landforms or even visit new destinations. And you can just have fun in the platform. Now you can see the sea level indicators that we found in this particular area in Dimitri Villa. And next slide. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope I was quick and
You were perfect in your time. Thank you very much, Vaso, for showing us the lovely island of Naxos. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Yanis? Accidentally? Okay. Okay. So we go on to the next speaker. Please write your questions in the chat if you have any questions also for Vaso. And we go on to Vittoria Vandelli. You are here, Vittoria?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
At the beginning.
So let me introduce you. Dr. Vittoria Vandelli is a research fellow at the Department of Chemical and Geological Sciences at the University of Modena and Reggio Emilia. She will talk about training students on geoheritage through virtual reality. So, Vittoria, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Good afternoon to everyone. I am going to present our activities related to the implementation of a virtual reality lesson based on geoheritage. For those who are not familiar with the geoheritage concept, geoheritage is a very important part of the global natural heritage, including rock, mineral, fossils, and landscapes, which are important for the understanding of the Earth history. Geoheritage, for example, through geotourism, promotes the conservation of geodiversity. But it also can be used for educational purposes. In fact, it provides students with knowledge regarding Earth history and processes shaping the landscape. In the last few years, dedicated courses and content regarding geoheritage and geodiversity have been introduced at university level. But there is still the need to improve the awareness on this topic, especially at higher education level. But why using virtual reality in geoheritage outreach? In literature, there are some examples of the use of immersive technology in the field of geoheritage in geoheritage studies. As you may guess, there are several advantages related to the use of virtual reality in, for example, the exploration of a geoheritage site. Some of them, 3 of them actually, are listed in the slide. For example, one of the advantage can be to preserve the integrity of geological sites of interest that are particularly sensitive to degradation. Regarding the specific topic of our lesson, we are developing a virtual reality lesson following this workflow, the one presented in the slide, consisting of 5 steps. I would like to specify that this workflow we are following is cannot only be applied to our lesson, to our specific topic, but it can also be extended for the preparation of other lessons, virtual reality lessons regarding other topics, for example. Let's go through the workflow in brief. First of all, we identified academic courses in which our lesson can be taught. For example, we identified bachelor and master degrees, including courses such as georesources, geomorphology, physical geography, but also science for education, or dedicated courses specifically dealing with geoheritage and geoconservation. After that, we define the lesson outlines, in particular the objectives of the lessons and the contents. Specifically, our lesson is about geoheritage, definitions and values, with specific reference to geomorphological heritage and its features. After the lesson, a final test is provided in order to verify the effectiveness of the learning experience. Once defined the outline of the lesson, we are defining also the educational material, the type of educational material. Our virtual reality lesson is based on immersive virtual field trips in selected study areas, but additional educational material is also provided, such as videographic materials and lectures by means of standard presentation, for example, PowerPoint presentation. So in order to prepare the lesson contents, we define the outline of the virtual itineraries. In particular, we selected 3 study areas, and we selected them according to their representativeness and as examples of geoheritage values, but also considering our knowledge of such areas. First of all, we selected a part of the natural reserve in the Emilia-Apennines characterized by spectacular mud volcanoes. Regarding the study area number 2, we selected a catchment, again in the Emilia-Apennines, characterized by spectacular bedland morphologies, but also by selective erosion features, pretty peculiar and nice. The third study site is not in Italy, but is in Malta, in the central Mediterranean Sea. In particular, in the northern part of Malta, the itinerary will go from Paradise Bay to a nice sinkhole in the northern Malta. Once defined the itinerary, we started to collect and prepare all the educational material for the implementation of the virtual reality lesson. First of all, we collected the existing material. Then we collected new material, especially referring to 360 photographs and videos, and we prepared it. But we collected also standard photographs and videos. I am referring to 2D videos and pictures. All this material is integrated using explanatory material, such as text document and voice recording, providing explanation about the multimedia material. Regarding the collection of the 360 photographs and videos, someone was asking about it. Well, in the left corner of the slide, you can see the device that we use for the acquisition of 360 material. This is the Insta360 camera connected with a just simple smartphone and a selfie stick. Regarding the preparation and the processing of the 360 photographs and videos, we used the dedicated software that is provided together with the camera that is called Insta360 Studio, the most updated version. Here you can see, I hope that you can see them, a clip of the itinerary that we are providing in the first study site in the natural reserve of Salse di Milano, where there are mud volcanoes. Let me specify that the field trip will develop along an existing thematic path, and we are collaborating also with the park authority that is providing us with additional material, for example, a drone flight of the area to be included in the lesson. And on the back of the image, you can see the one of the mud volcanoes. This is the study site, the third one in Paradise Bay in the island of Malta. This is a 360 photo, animated one. And it is very nice, this site, because it also provides the opportunity to talk about landslides as an important part of the geoheritage, of the geological heritage. This is the sinkhole, 360 photo, animated using the Insta360 Studio software in the northern part of Malta. Well, this part is still in progress. After collecting, at least for our part, once we have collected all the multimedia material, we are ready to implement the virtual reality lesson in 2 fundamental steps. The first step is to upload all the material through the authoring tool specifically developed within this project, the GeoVT project. And the second step, the last one, is the creation of the virtual reality lesson and to assemble all the material using the GeoVT platform. About the authoring tool and the GeoVT platform, the Omega group, who developed these tools, is going to talk about later on. So this is all for my part, for Unimore part. You may find in this slide some interesting references that I explained, I cited during the presentation. So thank you very much. I'm open to questions.
Thank you very much, Vittoria, and thank you also for keeping your time through the presentation. Because we are a bit behind schedule, please, if you have any questions for Vittoria, you can write them in the chat. And we move on to the next presentation, to the next speaker. Okay, we are going to Mr. Aristidis Pagliouras. He teaches informatics and computer science in public primary and secondary education since 2000, and also since 2017 he's the director of the third laboratory center at Eastern Attica. Mr. Pagliouras?
Good evening, all of you. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, my name is Aris Pagliouras and I am a research assistant of Aspete and cooperate closely with Professor Sarandos. I will present you the GeoVT adventure game that we developed for this project. Let's first talk about escape rooms. Escape rooms are live interactive team-based games where players discover clues, solve puzzles, and complete tasks in one or more rooms to achieve a specific goal, usually by escaping the room in a limited amount of time. Studies show that playing games in the classroom can increase overall motivation. Students become more motivated to learn, pay attention, and participate in class activities. They can also be a great classroom management tool, helping to motivate the class. One important thing for you to keep in mind, a 2011 study completed by researchers in the United Kingdom found games in the classroom provided more motivation if the learning was the playful part and not just a side note to the activity. As games can move quickly, a student needs to be alert and attentive for extended periods, and a study by researchers at the University of Wisconsin in Madison found games actually benefit students by helping them save their attentiveness and training the brain in how to learn. Using instructional approaches in the classroom, such as playing games, enables students to encounter the content in various ways, making it easier for them to pay attention after the activity has ended. The GeoVT escape room game developed is based on the concept of escape rooms. Specifically, it consists of 5 missions, as we will see later. To complete each mission, students must work together to answer the questions asked and then discover a digit for the final secret code. They end game successfully when the students discover all the digits of the final secret code. This is the first screen of the game. Escape room games usually are based on a story. For GeoVT escape room game, the story is this. Our planet is in danger from the collision with a huge asteroid. To avoid the collision, you must discover the secret code that will activate the ARIS system, which will destroy the asteroid. You have to work together to answer the questions of each mission in order to find the secret code that will save our planet. There are 5 missions that you need to complete to discover the secret code. The code consists of 5 digits. To find
Sorry,
each digit. Yes?
I think that we hear the sound more than I don't know if the rest have the same problem. No.
The music.
I hear Mr.
I don't
Pagliuras.
hear any music.
I don't have music.
We don't hear any music.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Nikki, perhaps the problem is in your computer. Okay, the code consists of 5 digits. To find each digit, you have to complete the mission. With the help of the 5 secret agents characters, you'll discover the secret code. Okay, here we see the 5 characters. With these 5 characters, we will try to complete the 5 mission. Each character is responsible for each mission. You can try to complete each mission in order, starting from mission 1, or choosing whichever order you want. So if give me some time to see it lively. I will try to share it in the browser. Okay, I will show you a small demo. If I press the start button, I will choose the destination 1, mission 1, in order to find the first digit of the secret code. In this first mission, we have to answer a series of questions to find the first digit of the secret code. I will answer 6 questions. Okay, how will you define quaternary? I think the right question is it's the time period from approximately 2.5 million years ago to today. Question number 2, the right answer I think is the first one. Okay, I'm very good. Question number 3, I think the right question is this one. And question number 4, when the glaciers melt, the global sea level rises. Okay. If I answer wrong, then the game gives me as many tries as I want in order to complete each question with the correct answer. Okay, and finally the questions number 3, the answer is both. Congratulations, the first number is 2. In the same way, we try to finish the other destinations, and the combination of all the 5 digits give us the answer, and then we can unlock the escape room game and we can save our world. In the same way, we have developed another 2 escape room games. The Run-Off Erosion Adventure game and the Coastal Erosion Adventure game. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very nice presentation. Very nice escape room games. I think they're very popular now, so very, very nice. If there is maybe a small question, a brief question.
On behalf of me.
Thank you, Professor Psycharis. We have you with us. Do you have maybe a brief question for Mr. Pagliuras?
And for me, my students have tried these escape rooms, and they're very glad to have exams. This is my comment.
Thank you, Nikki. I think we can now go on to the last presentation of this session to Mr. Theophanis Alexandridis. He is the head of the software department of the company Omega Technology, who is collaborating with us in this project. And his presentation is about virtual reality interactive presentations using 360 videos and authoring tool for creating custom virtual reality interactive presentations using 360 videos. Mr. Alexandridis, you are with us?
Hello, my name is Alexandros Papadopoulos. I will take the place of Mr. Alexandridis because he wasn't able to attend the webinar today. So if I just share my screen, okay, can everyone see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. The presentation will be very short. As I said, I'm Alexandros Papadopoulos. I work for Omega Technology. We are the technical partners of GeoVT project, and we have developed the GeoVT tools for the virtual field trips. Just a small introduction, GeoVT aims to become a powerful educational tool for distance learning at the topics of geomorphology, geohazards, and geoheritage. And it aims to give all students the opportunity to get to know various geomorphological sites which are inaccessible or difficult to reach. Okay, the platform was developed with Unity 3D, and it was designed for virtual reality and PC use, and also web use, as you can see through the web browsers. The platform is, I think, easy to use with just a simple account. You can log in and view all the presentations that you have created, or even create new ones, and edit them or view them as you want. Just a general view of the application. Each presentation consists of some 360 spheres that the author changes the backgrounds in all the assets inside, and the authors create assets for each sphere, 360 sphere, assets like text, images, audios, and also 3D objects. On the left side, you can see a list of the assets for this 360 sphere, and on the right side, you can see all the properties for the selected asset. Now, the spheres, of course, each presentation starts with one sphere, but the user can create as many as they want. They can set a 360 image or a 360 video for each sphere. They can rename them, delete them, and do whatever they want to make their presentations. In each sphere, as I said, you can create some assets in order to provide more information inside each one. You can add an image, a text, or an audio, or even a 3D object in the format of GLB. Each asset can be moved, can be rotated or resized from the author, or even hide or show some assets or even delete them. In this way, the author has the ability to place each asset in the 360 sphere with precision. Here you can see some of the properties that the assets can have and the author can set. For example, you can set the timing for each asset, so the start time when it shows up, and the duration, how long it holds onto the live presentation before closing. You can add an interaction to each asset. So if you click on an asset, you can make a transition to the next sphere, as you saw in the previous presentations. For example, they have created the next button that you would be able to click and go to the next sphere. In the text assets, you can change the text properties like the content, the font size, the font colors, or the font type. You can also have a preview of each image you are creating, and also a preview of the audio files that you have uploaded. So as soon as the presentation is ready, the author just saves the presentation onto the server, and the author can publish it for the users to see on the player tool. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Papadopoulos, for this nice presentation. Are there any questions from from the audience? Okay, you can.
May, Eliana, I make some connections with what was mentioned from Alexandros, with what was mentioned from other people before. In fact, this is the tool somebody asked previously in the chat, what kind of tools we have used. It was a question when Ilva was making her presentation. So this is the tool we're using in GeoVT, and this tool at the end of the project will be open to other colleagues, researchers, teachers, and so on, if you wish to build your own field trip.
Thank you for connecting everything together. I think with this we are closing the first part of our webinar.
Okay.